I am Great Mother, Holy Spirit, Yin, Divine Mother, Cosmic Womb, Deep Space, the Moon, Dark Matter, the Void, the Black Hole, Hathor, Isis, Diana, Mami Ishtar, Kali, Mami, and...
Great Mother speaks directly to her children most alienated from her due to our birth mother experience. I know a lot of people have mama drama trauma, but few have the gall to admit it. Congratulations. You are of a rare human breed who has chosen to admit you suffer from a condition in which your mother projects unhealed aspects of herself onto you, causing emotional and/or physical trauma. MDT acknowledgement is not about blame or shame of self or our mothers, but about embracing the comforter, your intuition, that still small voice of the Holy Spirit within us to heal. What does this have to do with astrology? Mama Drama Trauma is a soul contract between two souls who love each other deeply enough to insist upon mutual evolution in self-love and spiritual independence. Self-love through abandonment and or abuse, and spiritual independence through genuine discovery of the mother of all mothers. This eclipse season, discovery meets healing work. Since May of last year until November this year, the stars are aligning to wring out our whining tears. It features Great Mother Father energies with Leo in the North Node in tropical astrology and Cancer and Rahu in Vedic astrology. They kicked off this transit with an eclipse that the world stopped to watch in August. And now, a year later, they've come to the finish line with an energy that says, we are not playing. Eclipses are powerful planetary yin, responsive, yang, responsible catalysts. As a result, here are a few recurrent emotions that may have intensified for you over the last year. I am or I am not responsible for the way my mother neglected or ignored me. I am or am not responsible for the way she made me feel unloved or unlovable. I am or am not responsible for her cruel or thoughtless teasing. I am or am not responsible for the bad names she called me. I am or am not responsible for her unhappiness. I am or am not responsible for her problems. I am or am not responsible for her choice not to do anything about her problems. I am or am not responsible for her drinking and or her being on drugs. I am or am not responsible for what she did when she was drinking and or on drugs. I am or am not responsible for her hitting me, or I am or am not responsible for her molesting me. People who admit they have MDT are on another level of consciousness and self-awareness. On the one hand, you may have noticed a pull toward more compassion, while on the other, a dogged determination to allow yourself to emerge as your true self beyond the emotional bondage of MDT. Your Vedic Jyotish sidereal moon sign and nodal axis indicates the nature of the soul and what the ego's intuitive response may be to its evolutionary journey. With Cancer and Rahu ruled by the moon, unconditional love, feelings, beliefs, and attitudes symbolizing the divine law of eternal grace and mercy. The mother, the anima, your soul sign, the Vedic omniscient cosmic orientation, emphasize where greater awareness is needed around impulsive action, reaction to MDT, and choosing your response. Don't let mistakes dissuade or discourage you. Remember, you are breaking a cycle that did not begin with you. So you are learning and doing a damn good job of it. In addition to it just being hard work, it doesn't feel like you're doing so great because, on the other hand, with Leo in the North Node ruled by the Sun, the word, the logo symbolizing the divine law of divine order or worldly justice, the Father, the animus or your earth sign, Western earth-centric, your Western moon sign and nodal axis indicates the emotional state of your soul while in your present body, your egoic reaction to these feelings, which is now culminating into feelings perhaps of revenge, scatteredness, and confusion around reverting back to old behaviors you thought you had overcome or have been in the process of changing, now suddenly self-abandoning what has been a difficult and burdensome uphill battle. Time to delete the default buttons: blame, shame, and denial. The final eclipses of 2018 will force us to stoically face and release our MDT guilt, fear, sadness, and rage, like the big boys and girls, gods and goddesses, Great Mother, Father, God, know we are and came here to be. Enjoy your June-August eclipse readings. Get what you need from them and use them as a reference guide when you lose your way. Great Mother, Father, God created the cosmos. The sun and the moon created Mercury, Venus, the Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, in that order. Everything is in divine order, without and within, as above, so below. Depending on the time and the place in which we were born, there is a unique cosmic calculus of those energies. It's important because we have a new nodal axis shift November 7th. And so the eclipses will then go North Node Cancer, South Node Capricorn in the Western, North Node Gemini, South Node Sagittarius in the sidereal. So we're going to have a shift with these nodes. Right now they are Cancer, Capricorn, and sidereal, Leo, Aquarius in the Western. And so that's what we're talking about this third quarter here and how these energies are affecting you in terms of previewing what the next nodal season is going to be, which is 18 months. Every nodal season is an 18-month period. The bottom line is that as the nodal shift occurs in November, what Great Mother is saying to you today is going to give you great insight about how to complete what can typically be a very excruciating period in your life with a feeling of success, with a feeling of knowing that you are back online, you are back on track with your soul purpose, that you are learning the lessons and integrating them into your life in ways that are advancing you in the goal of self-love and spiritual independence. This cycle of completion, now until the end of September, is challenging all of us to stoically face and release our MDT guilt, fear, sadness, and rage to the best of our ability. And that ability does depend on our cosmic calculus. It's unique to us. It's optimal for what our soul is needing to achieve in the place and time that we are at. And the awareness that you will have from this reading will assist you with that awareness and with a sense of accomplishment, a sense of knowing you truly are a dearly loved child of the Great Mother, Father, God. June 28th, the full moon is in your 9th house of Sagittarius, Capricorn. Capricorn, the cardinal earth sign, is where we begin this season, and it's Sagittarius in the sidereal, ruled by the nakshatra mule. It's a very investigative energy, wanting to get to the root of the truth, getting to the bottom of the issue. It's an energy reflected by the rays of a third house sun for you and your collective unconsciousness in Gemini Cancer. Pachamama is here to say that you are entering this season needing to leave your home situation, perhaps. If not your home situation, it's definitely shining a light on a need to adjust your attitude, adjust your philosophical approach to life. Many of you have already done this, and that is how you are entering this season in earnest. Others, you're realizing that something about the way you're thinking, something about the way you're going about life, how you have viewed spirituality up to this point is not in alignment with who you are today. There is some internal dissonance going on for you, and there is a determination to find out exactly what needs to happen. There's a pull, so to speak, for you to gain the clarity that you seek at this particular time. And you're sincere about this. You're noticing and validating your need for a break so that you can have the time to reassess how you're feeling about life, your viewpoint, your perspective. Great Mother saying that maybe you are in the middle of a vacation right now and you are taking that break. Earth Mother Gaia is definitely calling you to take one if you are not, to reground yourself with the trees, the sea, the fairies outside, even if it's just standing in your backyard or taking a walk in the park. This is a waning gibbous root chakra card. It's really calling you to be grateful for this awareness, where you are in your journey. And there's a sense of sacrifice here. You have let a part of you go, or you were in the process of letting a part of you go. Our philosophies, our beliefs are a large part of our identity, of who we identify ourselves as who we say that we are, is based on our perspective of life. We approach everything from that foundation. And so for you to be in this place, there's definitely a sense of letting that go. With Mars in the South Node conjunct Capricorn Aquarius, there's definitely a pull to look at where your default mechanism has been in terms of what you view as rewarding in life. You're reassessing what you think makes life worth living. Maybe your career. Maybe what you feel should be your life's work, the contribution you want to make to the world, is coming under some great consideration at this time. And how you want to project your image in the world to some degree, perhaps. Mars is retrograde, and so it's definitely a reflection. And if not all, most of the outer planets are retrograde. I know Neptune, Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter are retrograde right now. So those are outer planets. We really don't look at those in the Vedic. But if you resonate with the Taurus moon sign, well then those retrogrades will definitely be felt very deeply in rethinking, reevaluation, reassessing, revising type energies going on here with this Mars retrograde, really kind of redoubling that effort, those influences of what motivates you to act in your life at this particular time. So this is how you enter the season. It gives you a feel for how to work with the energies of the season. It tells you that there's a current situation or maybe even an individual. I'm not getting a sense that it is necessarily your mother or even relationships that are replications of the dynamic that you have with your mother. I'm not getting that with ninth, third house energies, but of course this is collective, general unconsciousness, and for some of you that may be. But this is this full moon on June 28th. It's an intense one for you in reevaluating these things with regard to the call of Mother Nature that you may be feeling to clear your head, clear your inner in your outer space, just to feel the levity of life breathe through you again, and to heal some sense of dissonance within you with regard to what makes life meaningful for you at this time. Huge life reassessment. A break from work is what's called for many of you. You just may not have that concept articulated, within you, as I just expressed. You may just be feeling, I need a break from work. I gotta go. And that's why some of you are on vacation, at this time. And maybe you haven't had a vacation in a long time and you just knew that you had to right now to gain the understanding that you need to come back to yourself, to come back to who you are in real time today. That sets up the season for you, Aries, Taurus, Moon people, as you move into the partial solar eclipse that happens during the July 12th new moon. Now, as that full moon in Pachamama wanes down into this energy of your third house, where the sun and the moon are in Gemini Cancer, we see Rhiannon. And Rhiannon speaks to, at this particular point, a sense of not knowing whether or not you have the answer. And that's understandable considering that you are reassessing your life. You are trying to revise a sense of core value, of core philosophy. Maybe you are going to a new church or visiting different churches to see which one resonates with you, trying new spiritual teachers. Maybe you've never listened to an astrology video before, and this is something that is new for you. Rhiannon speaks to you being right about your decision that you're making step by step by step, and trusting the rightness of your journey, trusting your internal compass, that you do know in the moment what your wants and what your desires are, and not allowing self-doubt to throw you off your game. The path that you're on, it may seem hard to go it in that kind of lonely internal space, but that is where the answer to the questions that you have are. It's not about doubting the uncertainty. There's a beauty in uncertainty. We have a tendency to jump to judgment a lot, especially with MDT, because there's always a sense of, well, if there's uncertainty, someone must be wrong. I'm not getting a need fulfilled, or I'm not doing something right. There's always a sense of there not being justice if there's uncertainty. And so we have to learn how to work with uncertainty without judging it and just allowing it to be. And that's kind of where you are now, just being curious about your journey, about what churches you might want to go. You might want to alternate, different temples, or, you might go to a mosque, or, whatever you want to do, meditate and go on a retreat. And open yourself up to that. For example, the path that you're on, for better or worse, in terms of where you are right now in your understanding of your values, stay the course. You're going to find that space. Partial solar eclipses are not total, like the one the world stopped to watch last August, and the new moon completely covered the sun. We'll get those rays on the edges of the moon with this partial solar eclipse, mainly visible in the southern hemisphere. But the energy bespeaks the shadows coming out for you with regard to what you're understanding about yourself and what you're communicating about yourself. You may be having conversations, and as you listen to yourself talk to people, feel like you're speaking from a part of yourself that's a past life. Sometimes we have those conversations with people, especially when we meet someone, unexpectedly, from our past, and we're stopped in the middle of the street or at the mall or the airport or whatever, and we find ourselves having conversations that are really putting us in a mental space of the past as opposed to the present, because it would just take too much time to bring people up to date. So we just kind of speak in that past life lingo. And you may find yourself doing that. You may find yourself feeling that way at work, again, with this 10th house energy still in Mars retrograde in the South Node. South Node is the place where the soul is moving from, and the North Node is the evolutionary goal of the soul in this lifetime. And so since the planetary nodes are North Node, Cancer, Leo, and South Node, Capricorn, Aquarius, we have a planetary motivation to be more self-expressive as it relates to self-care. And it is being expressed quite selfishly because we have Aquarius and Capricorn in the South. And so with Mars conjunct this planetarily in your collective unconsciousness, there's a general influence that you could be affected by with a career aspect with this 10th house, or you, again, revising what you understand to be rewards or recognition for your efforts, and beginning to communicate those things in new ways, your aspirations, your goals in new ways. So it could go either way. You could kind of find yourself stuck in the past if you're not consciously working through that self-doubt and consciously staying in the moment and talking yourself through and talking people through your present moment and taking that extra time to bring people up to date with where you are. You could find yourself kind of staying in the past, but if you're working through it and talking through it and staying in your present, you'll find yourself kind of transforming this self-doubt into self-creation during this partial solar eclipse, is what Great Mother is saying, because the shadow that's being pulled out, which solar eclipses do, they pull out shadows for us to see what is unseen in our purview. That is unseen for you at this particular time, but it is your transformational opportunity. This eclipse season is to really pay attention to that past life, transformative future self that you're evolving into as you do this internal reassessment. That's very interesting because your moon is in the nakshatra of Ardra, which is ruled by Rahu, the North Node in the sidereal. So there's a huge pull to move toward the future. And so Great Mother is really encouraging you to go ahead and take the reins of this experience and communicate your new understandings. You're getting some crystal clear downloads from this period, and to trust those downloads. Ardra is all about really being hardworking and affable and agreeable. And so if you feel moved to share things with people, they will be able to receive what you're saying. It'll feel like you're creating yourself through chaos, and some of the downloads that you may receive may cause you to react impulsively. For example, in the past, you may have had these past life conversations with people that you meet on your path, but you might impulsively, with this nakshatra during this July new moon, begin to speak in real time and say, well, did you know that, I am now doing XYZ, something that this person would not know you to be or to do ever, and you just drop it on them. Something that you would have not have normally done in that kind of a context, because you don't know if you're going to see them again or who cares or whatever. And you might find that out of that genuine and authentic exchange, they'll say, well, hey, I'm doing such and such and such and such. I didn't know that you were into that. And you become Facebook friends, and, then you are expediting this journey of revising and learning about your new internal space with this amplified energy, with the sun in Gemini Cancer and the nakshatra of Purvanavashu, ruled by Jupiter. So that amplification energy is available for you. The new moon in July, that partial solar eclipse, kicks off this eclipse activation as it blossoms into the full moon on July 27, 28, which is the total lunar eclipse. This is a watershed cleanse. It is in your 10th house, and this is conjunct, of course, that Mars in the 10th house retrograde here. And so you have an extremely powerful energy in your 10th house that is speaking to a reset button on your life purpose at this particular time, or your career, or again, your perception of values, with that sun reflecting the light from your north node, the collective consciousness, the planetary north node in Cancer Leo. Everyone has their own personal north and south node in their chart. But this is fourth house energy, and this fourth house light reflecting the rays of the sun onto that 10th house is telling us that there are some things that are truly being cleansed in this area as a result of what you now see you need to express more clearly at home. And Ra is saying that it's time for you to recognize that the eureka that you're having about changes that need to happen at home, or observations that you've made at home as a result of these changing values, you expressing yourself in new ways, trusting your journey, that is what's really going to ultimately impact what you do outside of your home. Everything begins at home. Again, that foundational relationship with our mother is replicated in our relationships with our mates, our partners, our friends, and ultimately our career and business and public life. Those dynamics are replicated as our role remains the same as an individual, how we relate to others, unless we shift that. And Great Mother is saying that you are in that process of shifting, so that by the time the lunar eclipse comes, which is when the sun eclipses the moon, there will be a cleanse of that shadow energy in the 10th house from your 4th house, from your home life, your domestic reality, your practical day-to-day living, your relationship with your mother, maybe where you live physically, is giving you insight now as a result of how you are operating in your home milieu at this particular time. You have changed some of your values by this time, and you're being rewarded. The Ra card is all about the primordial father energy that rewards us for the journey that we have taken to live our highest purpose. So that idea of going to different churches, trying to find a new philosophy, going to new gurus, that trying to establish a new, more authentic central value in your life that kicked off this season has shown some results. And of course, it's to be expected. Your perspective shifts, how you interact at home and how you're dealing with things at home and how you're prioritizing your home life would naturally shift as a result. And so what this sun in the fourth house is saying is that that result is cleansing those issues as it relates to your life purpose now as well. Now you have clarity. Now you've done the experimental laboratory work with yourself and at home. You're seeing during this lunar eclipse period how you can actually work with this new understanding in real life. You're letting go of some past fantasies perhaps that you've had about being responsible for other people and how to take care of other people, as you realized through your own effort and your own work how much it takes for you to take care of yourself, and that by getting in touch with yourself, that no one else will know what your true wants and needs are better than you. And you have learned that by doing that work yourself. And you realize now I could never know what someone else needs to the degree that I may care for them or want to care for them or want to be loyal and supportive without their own contributing efforts of finding that out. And then I support what they want. And so there's a bit of perhaps backing away from past dependencies and things that you may have in the past viewed as an accomplishment. You may have been very proud. Again, this kind of fantasy that by surpassing the inner will and power of others and presuming what they need and taking care of that in the workplace perhaps, and being rewarded for that kind of care and support, releasing that through this journey and saying, well, hey, the real reward is that I know what that is for myself and I can appreciate others making that same effort. And you having a different, just a whole different stance with regard to that, Aries, Taurus, Moon people. The rock card is the scene in The Wizard of Oz when Oz distributes the accolades to the Scarecrow, Tin Man, and the Lion, giving them their wishes in unexpected ways. And so you are going to be rewarded for this new perspective that you have in unexpected ways. You're not expecting your journey as it opens during that full moon in June, in which there's some questioning, and going to the new moon in July, where there's further questioning, even to the point of questioning yourself. But as you work through those energies, as Great Mother is suggesting for you, ultimately realizing that there's an unexpected reward for having gone through the work that is required to get to a place of really knowing for yourself what that value is. And that is because I'm seeing that with the center here, as this lunar eclipse moves into and wanes down to the final eclipse, the partial solar, the new moon in August, the Setna, which is the center of your reading, that it's been probably because of this feeling of victimization that you've had to adhere to the values, the principles, and the beliefs of others, of your mother, of your tribe, of your birth spiritual group, religious group, or the lack of one, and having to, find your own way and assert your own way. And that now that you're finding it yourself, you didn't realize how rewarding that would be. That's what I'm getting. Starting off this journey, you didn't realize how rewarding it would be to just follow the path, no matter how uncertain along it may have been. Now, this new moon in August on the 11th, we're looking at Mercury beginning to station. It has been retrograde as well. And it's in your fourth house. And so we have the sun and the moon in your fourth house in Cancer, Leo. The north node, the planetary north node here is pulling you toward a sense of self-expression now based on that understanding of self-care. And now you may feel that others haven't fully been considerate of you, or that you're trying to explain your new values and you're not being heard, something like that. It feels like you have really pursued this path in earnest, but now what Great Mother is asking you is, do you know what you want? Now that you have this clarity, it's time for you to determine what it is that you want. If you do know, focus on it and what you are going to do to get it, instead of perhaps whining about what you do not have. Okay, if you don't know what you want, this card indicates that you soon will. As long as you focus on the journey, the path that you're on is an ongoing one. Many times we get to a point of a goal that we have in our path and we think it's the end of the path. We're just at a rest stop. You know, along our journey, we have goals, smaller goals, and then we have an ultimate journey that we don't quite know what that is. And so we want to kind of keep that in mind along this journey of life and healing mama drama trauma. It's a lifetime soul contract. And what you want to do is, when you are feeling perhaps triggered by emotions of people who are still trying to maybe compete with your new perceptions. You know, as we grow and evolve, we don't do so unencumbered by the, 2 cents and opinions of others. And so sometimes that can make you feel that way, but that's why Great Mother is saying that during this new moon in August, maybe some new moon wishes, Leo new moon wishes, of course, if you're resonating with the Taurus moon sign, the Western new moon here, is to ask for ways in which to more creatively and clearly communicate your views. That's a Leo new moon wish. It's about expression, about creativity. And so you want to establish intentions during that new moon that is going to continue to support that fourth house energy, because this partial solar eclipse is another shadow pool. And so what this is doing, it's pulling shadows from your home environment. It's like wringing out the rag with the last drips of water that may have guided your lunar eclipse to clarity about your life purpose and your viewpoints. But now it's being brought up to evaluation by Great Mother, Father God with their new moon dance to see where the shadows are in the home environment that need to be cleaned out so that you can proceed with even more clarity. And it may be extremely emotional because this victim card is telling us that the focus is difficult for you, and for good reason. You know, you have some trepidation moving forward because when there's a new seed being planted, a new perspective being planted, it's young. You know, just like a young plant that is vulnerable and it can't have too much sun, you know, so it can't have too much criticism, you know, too many opinions, too much, you know, analysis from others, and it can't have too much water. You know, it can't have way too much support and way too much, emotional alignment. It can be unbalanced. And this is an unbalanced, unstable emotional energy, the nakshatra that this new moon is in. It's in Ashlesha, which is the poster nakshatra for Mama Drama Trauma. It is the nakshatra of mother issues, issues of genetic heritage, intuition. It's mainly associating with the serpentine energy of entanglement and deception and being entwined with a mess, drama. And the pull for you might be going back to some of those kinds of triggers, perhaps, and feeling yourself just integrating all of this new spirituality, all of these new philosophies, and you're trying to integrate and you're trying to align them. That's a real thing. That's a real part of the process of changing. That's why we don't like to change, because intuitively we know that we go through this ritualistic process of separating from the past, transforming, and then ultimately integrating. And that is the spiritual language. Spirit, our angels, our guides, our ancestors speak in signs and symbols, speak in actions that tell them that we're recognizing those signs and symbols. And intuitively, on a soul level, we don't really want to go through that. And so we resist change. But as you are on this path and as you are checking what Great Mother is saying with your own conviction, with your own insight and your own intuition, if you are resonating with your Vedic astrology and you watch the Aries video and that makes a little bit more sense to you and for you, you may want to at this time make Cancer new moon wishes that really do have to do with your home environment, your physical home, your property, your mother. This is going to be very useful for you as you move forward, because it's going to allow you to deal with those shadows that come up in a way that, again, is not judgmental, but allows you a more curious perspective. As opposed to saying, well, gosh, I have no idea, why I'm still feeling this way about how to deal with ABC. This is dumb. This is not working. I'm not going to be able to carry this out at work. This is too overwhelming. Just being more curious and saying, wow, I wonder how this would work at work. This is new. I wonder how, I would be able to do ABC. That seems really interesting. And allowing that guidance from the angels to come through. And that's the ritual, is that Spirit speaks in ritual. It speaks in action, consciously acting on something, as opposed to just kind of going through the mental calisthenics, which tend to end in a lot of judgmental behavior, as opposed to acting on the guidance that we've received. And so Great Mother, she wants you to know that even though there may be some trepidation at this time, during this partial solar eclipse, the new moon in August, the life that you're creating is difficult. She's recognizing that, but keep going down your path. It's easy to get off the path right now because you're not clearly intuiting your highest good. You're just kind of in it. So keep following it. Be persistent with your internal guidance when things feel impossible. And just as everything in life, this too shall pass. The experience, though, is going to fortify your understanding and comprehension of your intuitive guidance. You are transitioning from this fantastical kind of, tribal, almost tribal worship of how things should be and this is the way it is, to your own spiritual independence. Okay, so remember, that's one of the evolutionary lessons of MDT. It's self-love and spiritual independence. And so you're really doing both. And so it's not an easy ride. And Great Mother's coming through and she's recognizing that with Sedna as your center card. This card is also a preview of your next couple of years as we look at the nodal shift November 7th, when in the Western it goes from Leo to Cancer North Node, and in the Vedic Rahu goes from Cancer to Gemini North Node. So remember that the difficulty that you may be experiencing now is going to kind of expand into different areas of your life. Well, we always start internally. That's why the moon sign inspires the actions of our sun sign. Great Mother inspires, Great Father energy, the worldly manifestation. And so this is the seed of this for you right now. And you're going to grow that seedling. You're going to learn how to balance the watering and the sun exposure and all of that with this little seed that's cultivating within you. And it's a beautiful one indeed. These eclipses may be finished in the sky, but internally, the repercussions and the reverberations will be felt for at least several months to a couple of years. And as this eclipse waxes and expands into the full moon on the 26th of August in your 10th, 11th houses of Aquarius in both astrologies, you are going to have a sense of self-inquiry. Now, self-inquiry is when we do take that action of confronting those painful thoughts and judgments that seem to accost us at every turn. You are in the throes of your self-discovery, and Great Mother is saying that in your shadow position here, during this full moon, reflected by a full moon light from the sun, and Leo Virgo from your 5th house, that you're not taking these challenges to your new self, to your new sense of being, laying down. Self-inquiry is when those pain thoughts, those judgments and condemnations, either from yourself first and foremost or from others, come at you, and you have a visceral response, understanding that this is not supporting me. I am cultivating a practice of curiosity. And so in order for me to do that, I must what? Act. And so it first starts with an intuitive understanding, and then we act on that so our angels, guides, and ancestors can communicate with us in effective ways. The action is self-inquiry. When that judgment comes about your new approach, about your moment-by-moment journey, what you're doing, why you're doing it, what is this new faith or this new idea, you're studying astrology now or this or whatever. And sometimes it's just best not to communicate what we are going through with others. But because I see this 5th house energy, there is a sense of expression going on. There is a sense of you actively and creatively reorganizing your life, and others in your workplace, maybe friends, maybe groups, maybe networks, can't help to notice. And so self-inquiry is here to say that when those judgments come, or those little snide remarks or that sort of thing that you may experience, ask yourself, is what they're saying true? That this is just a waste of time, that this doesn't make any sense, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, my new approach. I don't think that it's such a great idea for me to try to take care of other people the way I used to, and so now I'm focusing on myself, and people are now saying that I'm selfish. Is that true? Byron Katie, BYRONKATIE, right here on YouTube. Get a worksheet through some of those pain thoughts and ideas that come up, and just work through those and reverse those and get a true sense of who you are right now. This takes practice. This takes action. It's not going to just be something that is just downloaded to you and ta-da, I'm this new person and this is who I am. It has to come from within yourself, step by step, moment by moment. And stay with the awareness. That's what Great Mother's saying in the shadow position. This Earth Father card is all about the worldly, practical, everyday living out of the spiritual principles that Great Mother gives to us in signs and symbols through our intuition. And intuitively, you are following your inner knowing about these situations that are coming up to your best, the best of your ability. But she's really warning you that as you do that, to stay on that track, question any and all ideas, beliefs, thoughts, judgments, anything that's causing you to suffer, dear one. You are a dearly loved child of the Great Mother, Father, God, who is never judged, condemned, or left alone. And so that means that you have to assert that when the world, that earthly father energy, that imbalanced father energy sometimes can come at us that way. And we have imbalanced internal energy that comes at us that way, emotional energy, that we have to actively rebalance with the perspective first and foremost of knowing that we are divine children of the Great Mother, Father, God. You're not going to be able to go back. You've come too far to go back now on your journey. And so she's really cautioning you to Make the changes accordingly at the pace that you feel comfortable with, in the timing that you feel comfortable with, not determined by others. And you are making this journey for you. That's the only way it's going to work. That's the only way you're going to feel encouraged, that it's going to feel right for you to continue doing it, And so that's not too difficult for Taurus, to stay in your own space, to stay in your own mind. But the work by Byron Katie is all about questioning every thought, judgment, idea, or belief that causes you that suffering, and you're just not going to allow them to barge into your process, your precious heart and mind, and just push you over and come in your house and sit on your couch. It's just putting it bluntly. You just stopping their muddy shoes at the door and saying, hey, these are going to have to stay outside. And your funky socks too, kind of thing. So look these suffering thoughts directly in the face, one by one, and just ask, who are you? Why are you here? What do you want? And those answers will come to you, and they will come to you out of a sense of answering a curious question to give you more information and more awareness, as opposed to more judgment and condemnation. So that's going to really, really help you with planting those new seeds coming after those active eclipses during that August full moon on the 26th. The day after, Mars goes direct on the 27th. So it's actually stationing direct. So you will suddenly have a great deal of verve, just power to move forward with a lot of these new ideas. And they are young again. And so we see Sheila Nagig open. You just open to the process. It may be a little scary, as we see here with the Sheila Nagig card. The lion is jumping out of Oz's window once he realizes what he must do to receive his courage. And that is bring the broom back from the witch. And you may have the same kind of trepidation, but it's a kind of an excitement. This journey is now on a whole different level, right? They went from the yellow brick road to entering the dark forest. So your heart is opening and it's breaking at the same time. So we have the heart chakra card here, the crossroads between the ego and the soul. And we have your moon, your new moon, and the sun are in your fifth house. And so we have kind of cusp energy here, sixth, fifth house with the sun. And so again, we're looking at this creativity, what you are creating in your life. It's a very tense energy reverberating after these active eclipses. And you are with this waning gibbous heart chakra energy, sacrificing so much from your old self at this time that it's making room for the new life that you're creating. This power amplified with Mars now direct in your 10th house really is showing us that you are open to receiving your wishes. You are open to the journey that is necessary in order for you to create what it is you want to create in your life. And with this Leo Virgo moon, it's saying that you are actively reorganizing your life, very maturely, in fact. You are realizing that there are some sacrifices, giving up things of value for things of greater value, as we see Leo in the sidereal in the nakshatra of Maha. Maha is a very evolved energy of Leo. It is the most mature energy. It's very paternalistic. It's very successful. It gives from a kind of a kingly state of mind. It's not a kingly, manipulative, abusive power Leo energy. It's a kingly energy that takes authority with ethics, with a sense of magnetism. People want to be around. Children want to be around it. It's fatherly. And that sense now that you've had perhaps of caregiving for others has matured in this sense. And we have talked about how that maturing restoring has been taking place. And we see now with Sheila Nagig, with this waning gibbous moon, a desire to give from that place of abundance, wanting to share, and even a release more of those prior philosophies and perspective in order to course correct now. So there's a great sense of gratitude, a great sense of knowing that your intentions are being manifested in the perfect way, in the perfect time, as a result of working with your inner guidance. So this September new moon would have a lot to do, of course, with the Virgo new moon wishes associated with organization, daily life, your service to the world, your daily working life, your health. But of course, on a soul level, if you're making Leo new moon wishes at this time, resonating more with the Aries moon energy, then you are really making wishes that are talking about what you are wanting to create from this Maha, this very paternalistic energy, and how you're wanting to create those new things going forward. It's an exciting time for you. You are really coming into your own with this heartbreaking simultaneous opening that expands your capacity to integrate the greater, more wise part of yourself if you're willing. And so all of this is about your own conviction, your own intuitive confirmation of what most resonates with and for you. And so when this card appears, you may be afraid of the future and some commitments that you're now making because you're living in real time. You're living in this new self and you're just kind of trying it out. But you're making yourself. Just keep reminding yourself that you are remaking yourself. Remember, with Mama Drama Trauma, we are born twice. Once through our birth mother and once through ourselves. Okay, and so we are reborn through ourselves to heal ourselves. And so calm yourself. Great Mother is here. She's with you and she's guiding you. Breathe and declare yourself sacred, holy, and sanctified through the act of consciously opening your heart. You know, you're consciously opening your heart. You're choosing. It's a free will choice, isn't it? So that's a beautiful September new moon for you. It's exciting, maybe feeling a little rambunctious. And as that new moon waxes into the full moon on September 24th in Aquarius, 10th, 11th house energy is kind of cuspy energy there for you with that moon. We're seeing that this new perspective in your career, your work, or just how you are using your gifts, talents, and abilities to serve the world amongst your close groups of friends, at home, maybe your healing work, maybe you're trying Reiki now, maybe you bought a table and cleaned out a spare room, and maybe that's kind of where you are now using your power. Maybe part of this journey for you has been going through those kind of courses that you were always interested in, but you thought that your family would think it was too weird. And now, since the eclipse season, you started classes and now you're practicing with friends and they're supporting you, the ones that do. And that's what Lilith is speaking to. Lilith is speaking to the personal power that does come by actively pursuing your goals that you know are for your highest good, that you know are resonating with you most in the moment as you are transforming to a higher, more authentic version of yourself, which is absolutely what you're doing with Lilith. We see in this card, she's in Munchkin Land and being held by Glinda the Good Witch, who has just bestowed upon her the ruby red slippers, which symbolize our birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. And no sooner does she have them on, in the shadow of this waxing gibbous moon is the Wicked Witch of the East, who wants to take them from her. She symbolizes the drama mama in all of us and expressed in our experience of Mama Drama Trauma, who wants to take that birthright. This card is in the position of what needs to be released. maybe with this friendship energy, there are some friends who are not so supportive, who are similar in their dynamic with you to that dynamic you've had with your drama mama, and they need to be released. There's a gut feeling that you have, as we see symbolized here through the gut chakra, that this is the case, but it's difficult for you because you may already be undergoing a process with your own mother with all this fourth house energy that you've had throughout this cycle. But Lilith is here to tell you that you have the power to do what you need. You have the power to get or to go where you want. But before you can, it's time to face the fears that bind you. So you have to face that friend. You have to feel that alienation that you feel from your friend. You've probably been denying it for a while. You've probably known that you need to have this conversation for a while, or that you've needed to just back off of the relationship. You know, sometimes people can't accept that we need to move on. And so we just make ourselves a little scarcer, a little scarcer, a little scarcer, a little scarcer. And we're facing it as we need to. So you don't just back off and back off and back off in avoidance, you know, kind of scurry and scared away. But you know, again, what your goal is. Your goal is to, instead of, you know, seeing them 3 times a week, to hear the same kind of, you know, barking and criticism and negative conversation, that maybe once a week. And if there's a problem, you can anticipate with this person's personality, like your mother or whatever, whether it's passive aggressive, being manipulative, being too syrupy kind to try to keep you in the grasp and all that kind of stuff. Anticipate that. You know the person. Anticipate that that is going to happen and how you're going to respond. That is the benefit of living in awareness. Living in awareness is not about, you know, stars and butterflies and, you know, unicorns and, you know, I'm living in nirvana and so I'm above everybody, you know, look at me, don't you hear the angels sing? No. True awareness is about living in real time with joy, because you see things for what they are, not from a place of judgment, but from a place of curiosity and from a place of knowing your divinity, that you have the power to live the life that you want to live. It's not about having all the answers. It's about being open, as you are during this cycle we see with Sheila Nagig, to the process offered by Great Mother that expands our intuitive wisdom to receive the higher guidance from our angels, guides, and ancestors. So we always have access to the answers. But you see, it's always this give and take. We have to open that free will to receive it. So Dorothy has received the ruby red slippers, which Great Mother has told her to never take off. And as soon as she says that, who comes up? So you might anticipate that by this full moon in September in Aquarius, someone in your group may come up and challenge everything that you have been working for. And you just have to, just like we see Dorothy in this picture, just, you know, relax and surrender into the arms of Great Mother and breathe, you know, knowing that you are aspiring and actively gearing your life toward the purpose that your soul incarnated for. No one has power over that. Don't take your shoes off, you know. Just be mindful of the abundance of the intuitive hits and the signs all around you as Great Mother embraces you through this. And you will be just fine. Just fine, Aries, Taurus, Moon people. You go. You go. Now, this full moon is a very big purge as well, because what's going to facilitate you embracing this and going with the flow of the guidance of Great Mother, despite some of the challenges in your circle that may come up. Hecate is emphasizing that this is a crossroads for you. And the crossroads we see here with Dorothy in the witch's castle, where she is again trying to take those shoes. Somebody's trying to mess with you about this newly planted seed of identity, and it's a good thing. It's a purifying thing. It's really making you, it's helping you to get clear is really what it's doing. It's really what it's doing. It's just helping you to get clear. But you might feel yourself vacillating back and forth into old behaviors. You might feel yourself going into that default of caretaking for other people. And that's okay, because it's just going to allow you, Aries, Taurus, Moon people, to see that that's not serving you anymore. You know that, but it has to work through the layers of our intellect, our emotions, our intuition. All of those levels have to kind of get a hit of action and experience. And so you'll go back and forth, between being passive and maybe with that syrupy, silky person being manipulated a little bit. And, then you have that kind of sour feeling afterwards, like, I really didn't want to go to that. And, I missed my group, or whatever. And so to go and do that with her just so she wouldn't be mad or whatever. And so that's okay, because it's just going to redouble your efforts to be true to your authentic self. And you might vacillate with some past aggressive behaviors that you thought that you had healed through this process at home. And so just be open with people. That sun shining from your sixth house is in Virgo Libra, and it's letting us know that, in your daily life, these things are coming up, and there might be some health issues associated with it. And so take care of yourself, just as we see here in this card, the throat chakra crescent moon card. Expressing yourself, talking, communicating what your wants and what your needs are, as we see Dorothy was unable to do in this Hecate card as the witch was trying to take her shoes. She did, but she didn't. And that's kind of what you'll be doing. You will be doing it, but you won't. The witch says, give me those shoes or I'm going to kill Toto. And she says, take the shoes, but give me Toto. So we know the shoes symbolize your birthright to be happy, healthy, and whole. And what is happy? Accepting ourselves as we are. That's all. And sometimes we're happy and sometimes we're sad, aren't we? But happiness, we have a birthright to be happy. And she says, take my birthright, but give me Toto. Toto symbolizes our intuition. And so you're wanting to stay true to your authentic self by this time, Aries, Taurus, Moon people. You are holding on to your true self, but there's a kind of a back and forth and saying, can I have both? You really don't know that you can. You can, absolutely. That's what our divinity is, that we are here to live happiness, health, and wholeness through the use of our intuition. So not only can we have both, we are here to have both. We were given both to be here. And so no, drama mama can't have neither one, And so what's going to facilitate your personal power being asserted is your understanding of that, to which the outcome is Yemiya, the surrender card for you. This eclipse cycle has been a tremendously transformative one for you, and Yemiya emphasizes that with the heart chakra first quarter moon card that says that this entire cycle is setting up a practice for you to surrender to your intuition and work with it actively, test it actively, and learn who you are and how to use that power in your life to serve yourself. Now, what is surrender? In this scene, Dorothy is asleep in the poppy field, and poppy is opium. It's the drug addiction that we have. It's that Ashlesha nakshatra, that's the poster nakshatra for MDT. It takes us into the past. It takes us into genetic family patterns and pathologies that keep us bound. And the heart chakra says there's always an opportunity. There's a crossroads between the ego and the soul. There's always an opportunity to choose, but we can always stand in the middle of that as well and just ask for the help that we need. Surrender is not about giving up. It's about allowing life to be what it is and seeing life from that empowered space, not recoiling from it. Now, the poppies were produced by the Wicked Witch of the East. Dorothy didn't try to go and take some opium. That wasn't her initiative. She was almost at the castle. Remember, they were skipping and jumping and singing Yellow Brick Road, and here comes, these poppies right before they get to their goal of the castle to see the Oz. And there will be periods during this cycle and in the upcoming years that may feel like that for you over and over again as you pursue and achieve your goals along this path. But if you just remember, Great Mother is saying, to surrender, to just let go. Sometimes you might need to rest. And sometimes that's just what this card means. You need a rest. Dorothy had been up all day and all night after that Twister dream. Came to Munchkin Land and then met the Scarecrow. We can see how things that are meant to work against us can work for us. Sometimes too, working with this card. And so there's a lot of support that is here for you to make this journey one of surrender, to make this journey one of active creation of what you want as a result of your conscious decision to release patterns that no longer serve the divinity within and available to you. Thank you so much for listening. Remember that support is available for you at greatmotherspeaks.info. We have support meetings on Sunday and Monday nights with the Join Me app. It's join.me/Mama Drama Trauma. Just tune in with us, and it's just a call-in conference call. A few people get together, and we have an agenda of support. So if you want to know more about that, check the website. And remember, neither these readings or my coaching work are intended to replace, but rather enhance work and therapy, support groups, or 12-step programs. Some of you may elect to do this work on your own, but if you are an adult victim of physical or sexual abuse, I believe that professional help is essential for you. If you abuse drugs or alcohol to deaden your feelings, you must deal with your compulsion before attempting to work with the energies in the ways suggested here. There's no way to gain control of your life if you are being controlled by an addiction. For that reason, I insist that any of my clients who are substance abusers also join a program such as Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. The readings here are intended for those who have undertaken the healing work of MDT with a minimum of 6 months sobriety. Your emotions are extremely raw in the beginning phases of recovery, and there is always the danger that uncovering and exploring painful experiences during this time may cause you to slip back into substance abuse. It would be both unrealistic and irresponsible of me to suggest that if you follow the readings as suggested here, all your problems will disappear overnight. But I can assure you that if you do this work as suggested by Great Mother and you are otherwise healthy and on your healing path, exciting new ways of relating to yourself and to your parents and others are provided here, and you will be able to define who you are and how you want to live your life moving forward from this eclipse season. Not only that, you will discover a new sense of confidence and self-worth, self-love, and spiritual independence through the love of Great Mother. Thank you so much for listening, and all the best to you and yours during this eclipse season. Until next time, remember Great Mother loves you, and I do too.